Phoenix, as you can imagine. 120 is coming. Yeah, June, July, August. It is just an oven. Well, anyway, we're live. Good to see everyone. John Lavenia here with you. Welcome to our daily success call for Monday, the 7th of June, 2021. I'm so glad to be here with you all. Had a great weekend. I certainly hope everyone else has as well. I'm going to go ahead and mute the microphones for now because we got a little bit of background noise. And yeah, lots of good stuff going on. I will tell you that anyone who's here with us live now, you can go ahead and be thankful because it has just been a nonstop onslaught of new members. I'm not going to show you my calendar right now. Andy, I know I'm meeting with you later today, but I am booked out for like a week, easily for a week. So yeah, really glad that you're all here. We're going on an adventure, aren't we? We're going on an adventure of entrepreneurship. And I know some of us have been entrepreneurs for a while, and some of us are just embracing the idea of, being our own boss for the first time, or seriously for the first time, hopefully seriously, right? That doesn't mean it has to be serious or like drudgery or anything, but that means that it deserves, attention. It deserves focused effort. And that's what I want to talk with you a little bit about today. In fact, I was just having a conversation with members of my mastermind group that we were talking about getting out of a slump. And I think it's an interesting topic. Maybe it's one that we'll take up here in this group. I'm sure we will at some point. But just getting things going, right? Just like getting off the launch pad. This is something where I think we could have a little bit of time today. And I'd love to hear your feedback and your ideas or any questions you may have about it. Hey, Robert, welcome to the call. And so I want you to think of it like this. So you've got this plane, right? This airplane, and it's on the runway. Does anyone know what percent throttle is used to get an airplane off the runway?
Andy? Like 75 to 80% at least.
Okay. Any other answers on that? I know we've only got a few people tuning in live right now, but thank you, Andy. The answer is 100. 100. So why do I know that? Because I know pilots and I know people that are like really into aeronautics and stuff. And they use this as a metaphor. See, this is a metaphor for business and for life, where when we look at any opportunity to get something going, not just here specifically with what you guys are doing, but in life, right? There is a certain amount of thrust that's necessary to get things launched, to get them off the runway, so to speak. Now on the plane, right, there's a certain amount of weight and there's a certain amount of, engine power and, different geometry and, flaps and hydraulics and all the stuff, the machinery stuff, okay, that goes on there. But this stuff is calculated by people who know how to calculate such things. And they figure, with this much weight on the plane and, this much thrust, and this much, the temperature of the air, there's lots that go into this, right? And the altitude of, not altitude, but the elevation above sea level. So there's all these calculations. And so getting this thing launched takes more energy than keeping it in the air. And you've probably heard this metaphor before. I know some people have done it like with rockets, right? It's all this fuel is burnt, getting the thing out of the atmosphere. And then once it's in space, you hardly need any energy at all because there's not a whole lot of resistance. So there's the point. Resistance, inertia, right? An object at rest tends to stay at rest. And up to this point, at least in this aspect of your life, right? This business experience has been at rest or in non-existence, we could say. So that's equally stopped, right? Full stop. Non-doingness, non-action, non-production, right? Stopped. And we want to get unstopped, right? We want movement. So what's required to do that? And here's my friend Grant Cardone. I don't know if any of you have read any of his stuff. Yeah, so he talks about like 10x. So that's his ideas, like the 10x rule. So whatever you think your goal is, why don't you 10x that and then 10x the amount of effort? Now that may sound too simple, and it also may sound unreasonable. And one thing that you cannot accuse people like Grant or myself of being is reasonable. I'll quote George Bernard Shaw. He said, the reasonable man attempts to adapt himself to the environment. The unreasonable one persists in adapting the environment to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Unreasonable. Think about the words here for just a minute. I didn't say irrational. That wasn't the word. Unreasonable. Okay. So if all we do is we sit around and be reasonable with ourselves and with life, and we're just being very reasonable, then, we're pretty much conforming to conditions as they are. Reason is a very useful mental faculty, which is helpful, for like surviving on the planet. I can reason that if I walk out in front of that speeding car, it will destroy my body, right? But that's very nice and useful, but it's based on what I already know. So reason's based on what we know. It's limited in that way. So what if we got a little bit past that here? What if we used another mental faculty, like imagination? Is that limited? Intuition. A lot of people haven't exercised that one. Intuition, right? Having a hunch and going with it. To some degree, you've all exercised that here. So let me acknowledge and let me validate that, right? I mean, you wouldn't have shown up here in this community without, some hunch that, what, first of all, I'm dissatisfied with these results, right? So that's, now we're observing, right, the obvious. Hey, I'm not making the money I want, or the lifestyle, or whatever got you looking higher, reaching for more, right? And then you confronted, oh, here's an opportunity, right? And I don't know all the details. Does everyone here already know all the details about how you're going to make millions of dollars online? No, of course not, right? Nobody knows how to reach a goal until you've reached it, right? So there's a bit of intuition that goes into this. This feels right. I don't know every intricacy of, every variable, and there are plenty of variables. Okay. What's going to be my best selling product? I don't know. Sometimes people ask me, because I've got a lot of experience in the marketing world, John, what would be the best, advertisement to run on this sort of, product or campaign or whatever? And I don't know. My crystal ball is on back order. The marketplace will tell us, right? We can course correct. We can adjust. Once we're moving, we can't steer a parked car, right? But you publish, right? You get something out there into the public, and then we can look at the statistics, right? The marketplace will tell us what the best ad is, right? So there's, and we can have intuitions about that, and we can make educated guesses. And as entrepreneurs, we have to do that sometimes. I mean, what is the definition of entrepreneur? If you look in a dictionary, it's one who assumes greater than usual risk for the purpose of business and profit, right? Assumes greater than usual risk. So like the typical employee, right, who's just showing up and punching a clock at the job, they're not assuming that risk, right? They are part of the, the cog in the wheel, so to speak. They're part of the machine in that corporate agenda, right? But you've got your own agenda. You're self-determined in that way, which means what? Which means you're taking on greater than usual risk for the purpose of business and profitability. Fantastic. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. That doesn't mean we're rolling the dice, like we're 20 years old and running through the casinos of Las Vegas or something. No, there's a difference between chance and risk. Okay. And the more we know, the better the decisions and the faster we can make them. In other words, the more control we can have in our life and in our business. But there's always that factor of unknowingness. There's always that factor of being willing to get a little bit unreasonable with ourselves, right? So and I do appreciate, Andy's answer, right? Because it sounds plausible, right? 80% to get that plane off the ground. Yeah. What if we just maxed out? What if we just maxed out the throttle? Whenever we're launching anything, whenever we're getting into something that, I'm going to do it. All right, well, half measures avail us nothing. What if we really did it? I mean, imagine that for a moment. Let's go down a little imaginary route here for a second, since that's another mental faculty which we could use or not, right? So let's use it. Okay, so it's 6 months down the road. And here you are. And not only have you applied yourself with great intention to the course material, and you've executed. When I say applied, I mean you didn't just listen to the lectures and you sat there and you were impressed with Rachel or something, right? I mean that's not the product here, right? The product is that you apply it and that you have an effect in the marketplace, right? So now it's 6 months from now, and you've really applied yourself, and the goals that you originally considered for yourself, right? The things that got you off your butt in the first place to say, you know what, I'm going to reach higher. I'm going to do something better, stronger, faster. I don't even know what that thing is, but this thing that I'm doing now, this ain't it, right? And so I'm going to go in this direction with e-commerce, right? And the goals that you set or the intentions that you had at the outset have been exceeded because also your commitment to it. The more you learn, the faster you go. Now you're in orbit, right? You're doing the thing and you're looking back and it's 6 months later and you're looking back and you're thinking, my goodness, I played small at first, or I thought small. I'm glad I played big because wow, there's so much money and, you know, what could be had, right? Via the internet. There's so much here. Where's the limit? The limit is how much throttle that you're willing to apply. That's it, right? I mean, you think about different back to the, I guess, airplane example, right? Different machinery, same planet, same, you know, air, same jet fuel or whatever, but different machinery has different, you know, results based on, you know, how it's engineered and how it's applied. Well, great news for you. You get to engineer your own machine. And the thing that we talk about quite often in our welcome sessions, which I want to just talk about here with everyone, whether you're watching this live or you're catching this on replay, is the idea of standards. Standards. Okay, so when you think about how most people set goals or fail to set goals, usually the latter. Okay, but they look at their past to determine what they should expect in the future. They drag yesterday into today, hoping to create a better tomorrow. That's most of the time, okay? And what is yesterday? Yesterday is the results of the decisions we made the day before yesterday, right? So does that have any precedent? Here's the question. Does that set any precedent for what we should expect tomorrow? Andy's shaking his head no. Right. Okay, correct answer. It doesn't. It doesn't, unless we identify as that. You see, we go through life, we have wins and we have losses, right? And the wins are nice. You got the trophy on the mantle from when you were the footballer or whatever, right, in high school, or, you know, you accomplished some great thing, and that's nice, that's gratifying. But we tend to, or we could tend to, fixate on the losses and actually identify with or as the loser and lower our standards. And then we have some more losses and we lower them some more. And our expectations were met, we lower our standards some more. And you can get to the place, I'm not suggesting any of you have, clearly you haven't, right, because you're here, but we could get to the place where next thing you know, you're wearing an orange apron and, you know, selling hammers at Home Depot or something, right? Or a green apron and serving up the coffee. Low standards. Can we rehabilitate those standards? Can we celebrate how able we actually are? And we are. Oh, yes, we are. It was the second to last chapter in my first book. You Are So Able was the title of the chapter. And I don't believe you are. I know you are, right? And why? Are we really that different? You look at people that you're going to be meeting here in this community. One of them you obviously already met. Millions of dollars down the road from where you're starting right now. Does that make us special or something? You got a pedestal for me to stand on? I hope not. I hope not, because that imaginary wall or line of demarcation between you and then like these few special people up here, up on this pedestal or behind the velvet ropes. I was actually at an event where these top earners were like behind velvet ropes. These were like the untouchables. I personally took issue with that. But I wanted to know, how do I get into that group, that small group, and not into this larger group in the auditorium of all these, you know, these commoners? Are you a commoner? Is that what you are? I hope not, right? So let's break down that wall and let's see that the only real difference here between the plane that's already up here at 30,000 feet and the one that's on the ground is the decision that was made and when it was made. This decision was made a while ago, and we're going to apply 100% throttle, and now we're at 30,000 feet. This decision hasn't been made yet. And if we're going to hit that throttle, let's really friggin' hit it. I mean, hit it so damn hard. There's no question about it. There's nothing vague. we're not being vague with ourselves about what we want, where we're going, and our full expectation that yes, we can have it. I mean, after all, look at that plane. It's so high, I could barely see it. Wow. I guess that's possible for me too. So let's not disqualify ourselves with all these stories that we invent based on our blunders, and we all have blunders. We all have wins and loses, right? But let's not identify with the losses and become that. Back to George Bernard Shaw, all progress depends on the unreasonable man or woman. He's talking about mankind, right? So don't get attached to gender classifications or whatever. So consider that for yourself, right? Are you willing to go beyond just what you already know? That's called being unreasonable. And I celebrate that with you and for you. Because that may be, look, being comfortable isn't the product here. That's not what you signed up for. Oh, I'd like to make millions and just mosey my way into it. No, half measures avail us nothing. What did Yoda say? Do or do not. There is no try. Sooth spaketh Yoda. So anyway, my friends, I'm glad to be here with you. Brief conversation today, but one that I think you can start your week with, and maybe set the stage, set the tone, if you will, for your efforts that you're going to put in this week as we're just getting this going. Of course, for our friends over in Australia, good to see you guys. Actually, I don't see you because you're sleeping right now, but I see you through the camera lens. You're watching the recording. I'm glad you're here. With that, I will go ahead and I see a couple of chats here. I'll tell you what, Andy, thank you for your participation, brother. My weakness, my one weakness, if I have one, I probably have more than one, but one is that I cannot talk to you and read the chats at the same time. Like I inflow and then I outflow, and I don't do both at the same time. It's kind of an interesting thing. Other people, I don't know, they can like read chats and like still stay on topic. I don't. But yeah, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. There is a book, one of the books that I recommended, Andy and everyone, is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Easy read, conversational, very conversational author. I like conversational. I also like, very rich textbooks as well, where we really get in the weeds and really study. But this is an easy book to read. So one of the reasons why I recommended it. And one of the ideas that he presents to us, what he calls wealth files, one of the wealth files, the way that rich people think is has to do exactly with what Andy put in there. So being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Hey, floor's open. Anybody wants to come on out? You can go ahead and unmute your microphone. There's a mute and unmute button. You can talk and I will listen. And we can go from there. Anybody want to talk? I see Andy, Jamie, Mandy, Robert, Tani. Any talking? I don't bite too hard.
No.
Hey, Robert.
I just want to, this is my first call on here, but it's motivating. So thanks for the great job.
Well, thank you, Robert. And I'm so glad you're here. Where are you located with that Mercedes-Benz?
I do have a Mercedes-Benz, but that's a picture I took in Germany because I go there to an event there every year, and I'm a car guy. So that's an old photograph. I should probably change it from a few years ago, but I'm near Toronto, Ontario.
Ah, okay. We got a lot of Canucks here in the house. So welcome.
I'm sad to say we're one of the toughest lockdowns in North America. And so it's horrible. But anyways, my son's in Florida. You're in Florida, right?
I live in Phoenix, but currently I'm in Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Anyways, yeah. So that's where I'm from.
Well, Robert, we're glad you're here. And maybe next time we can see you on camera as well. And yeah, just glad you're here. Stay close. We're going to get a lot done. And you're definitely in the right place.
Okay.
Where in Florida are you?
All right.
Where in Florida?
Currently in Tampa. Yeah.
Business or pleasure?
A little bit of both, Yeah, it's business doing pleasure with you, Thanks, Andy. All right. Thank you, Robert. Jamie, you good? Mandy, Tani, any other comments? All right. Very good.
This is great. Thank you.
Oh, Jamie, glad you're here. Thank you. My pleasure. Keep coming. We're just getting this going. You guys are going to see Give it a couple weeks, and then it's going to be mayhem in here. So they're just getting the word out that we're doing these live sessions. So very, very glad you're here right at the beginning. We'll see you all next time. Have an awesome day. You absolutely deserve it.